Hare Krishna. Welcome all for the wonderful class of the Bhakti Shastri and the Bhagavad Gita. We'll quickly start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chaksharam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Sarvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you, dear devotees, and thank you for your patience for these a couple of weeks which we were not able to take class. So I'll just be sharing the screen. Actually, why do we say the Mangala Charan? The Mangala Charan has a very significant importance in our parampara. Mangala Charan means what? That we are taking the blessings of all the Vaishnava Acharyas so that we will be able to understand what the Supreme Lord, in fact, we are taking the blessings of the Supreme Lord also to understand that what has He spoken in the Bhagavad Gita. And that is why it is called Mangala, auspicious beginning. Whatever we do something good, we have an auspicious beginning for studying the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam, and that is why we say, and the first blessings we take from the spiritual master, then from Rupa Goswami and the other Goswamis and the other Acharyas, and then from Srila Prabhupada, who himself has, written the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita and the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. So we're taking the blessings of all these Acharyas to understand, because I do not have, or even when the speaker is also speaking, the speaker is also thinking that no, I am a handicapped person, and what can I speak about this vast subject matter? So both the audience and the speaker, both are actually seeking blessings from the previous acharyas, from the Supreme Lord, from the Vaishnavas who are assembled, because they say, that in when you are in association, you have that strength. You're like a bundle of sticks. When you tie it, it has strength. Nobody can break that. So when you're in association, you can understand the subject matter very nicely. Other than like at least even when I am studying alone, I don't understand. But if I have a couple of more of my friends, then I'm able to understand the Bhagavad Gita more better. So with that, we'll just start with our next chapter of the Bhakti Shastri, Bhagavad Gita chapter in the Bhakti Shastri. And this chapter is a very interesting chapter, if you see, which says that attaining the Supreme. Now, we all want to attain the Supreme, right? And now over here, we are discussing the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. You see, the 7th chapter concluded with the Supreme Lord's glory by the introduction of 3 new terms: Adi Bhuta, Adi Yagna, and Adi Daiva. And the 8th chapter is going to begin with this question by Arjuna, that what does these three terms mean? And uh, mm, Krishna answers, and the answer to the last term, it takes a very significant amount of description, and actually the whole chapter passes with that only. And the whole chapter, in fact, is centered around the answer to the last part, Adi Daiva. And how can we remember Krishna at the time of death? So the question answer ends at verse 8, in this chapter. Uh, but the elaboration of the answers is going on throughout the chapter. So if you see in the 8th chapter, the first two verses are like actually the questions only. The third and the fourth will be the answer to the 6 questions that Arjuna is going to ask. Arjuna is asking, and Krishna is answering Arjuna's 6 questions as such. And then from the 5th shloka to the 8th shloka, Krishna is explaining about his remembrance, or remembrance of Krishna at the time of death. That is the answer to the 7th question that Arjuna asks. And then how to remember Krishna by Yoga Mishra Bhakti. That is given from shloka number 9 to shloka number 13. And from 14 and 15 is how do you remember Krishna by Shuddh Bhakti? And then the 16th and the 18th, 16th to the 16, 17, 16 to the 22nd, the next 7 shlokas say that how do you remember Krishna by comparing the natures of the material world and the spiritual world. And what is easier, you know, Bhakti Yoga is easier or Ashtanga Yoga is easier, will be explained in the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, and the 28th. The next 6 shlokas will be explaining that. So, essentially, the chapter talks about remembrance of Krishna at the time of death, so that we can attain the absolute truth. So then there'll be no doubt, and that is why if you see, Srila Prabhupada also has titled the chapter as Attaining the Supreme. There are another titles for this chapter as, Akshara Brahma Yoga, and Krishna Aksharam Param Brahman, and all that. So that's how some of the chapters has been, some of the acharyas have named this chapter as such. But Prabhupada is titling this chapter as Attaining the Supreme. So with that, we'll just start with the first shloka where Arjuna says that Shri Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Tad Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adi Bhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adi Devam Kim Uchyate. So now onwards, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the style of the class which will be going on. My humble request to everybody is that you'll read Srila Prabhupada's purports and come beforehand. The translation and purport is just a homework, and the homework will be for just next. We just cover somewhere around like 10 to 12 shlokas. We don't cover more than 10 to 12 shlokas per day, right? So maybe you'll just have to read throughout the whole week. It will hardly take only half an hour to 45 minutes. Even if you break it in a day, two shlokas, so you'll be able to, complete at least 10 to 12 shlokas and read the purport and come. Of course, I will be actually teaching from Srila Prabhupada's purports itself only. We won't be missing anything from Srila Prabhupada's purport. But if you study and you come in the class, the understanding is more clearer. You are able to relate very easily when you read and you come. Like even in school, if you remember, when the teacher is going to say, tomorrow I'm going to teach this, uh, and we used to read the chapter and we used to get, and then the teacher used to teach us. The 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 understanding is more clearer. And in case we have any doubts, then we can raise our hands and we can ask the teacher. So similarly, my humble request to everybody is that you'll read the purports and translations and you'll come, and that will be more easier. And in this way, what will happen is two things will happen. Uh, we'll be going at a little faster pace, maybe just a double faster pace we'll be going at. And secondly is that there will be some food for thought for you all also. A little homework you can say every time that, okay, we have to do this homework, can you come? And then you have some questions developed in your mind and you'll be able to solve those queries of the devotees. So translation, Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? And what is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. So, if you see that he's saying that Kim Tad Brahman, Brahma. So he's saying, what is Brahma? Kim Adhyatman. What is Adhyatma? Kim Karma. What is Karma? He's asking. There's a third question that he's asking. And Purushottama. Who is the Purushottam? And he's saying that, oh Krishna, you are the best of the people. So you are competent to tell me that what is this ultimately? And Adi Bhutam Chakim Proktam. So he's saying over here that Adi Bhutam. Okay. So what is Adi Bhutam? Adi Devam. What is Adi Devam? And then, so, if you see, these are the words Krishna has used even in the 7th chapter. The 29th shloka and the 30th shloka, these words have been used. So somebody may wonder that what is the point of asking, questions like that what is karma? See, even before coming to spirituality, or before coming to ISKCON, like we even didn't know what is karma. Okay, we only knew that, okay, whatever bad deeds you do is going to flash back to you. That was the only basic understanding, that at least I had that understanding, that if I do something bad with somebody, then I'm going to get the reaction. Okay. So actually speaking, we already know what karma is. And the word karma is used so many times in the Bhagavad Gita. And it has come so many times also. But over here, Arjuna is asking the question in context of Krishna's use of that word. That why has he used the word karma? Where he has said that Jara Marna Mokshaya Mam Ashrite Yatanti Te Brahma Tad Viduha Krishnam Adhyatmam Karma Cha Akhilam. He has used this Jara Marna Moksha. So for getting free and from old age and death. And then he's saying, Mam Ashritaya Yatanti Ye. Those who are taking shelter of me, Krishna is saying, then they try. And Te Brahma Tad Vidu Krishnam. So they come to know Brahman, and they themselves are Brahman. And then he's saying, Adhyatmam Karma Chakhilam. And all their activities become what? They become transcendental, Adhyatmam. So there the word karma is used in a very interesting way. So what is that meaning of the word karma? And Arjuna is asking this to to Krishna, that please explain me what is this. So what is Brahma and what is karma? So in the next verse, he'll be saying that what is Brahma. So, there are many confusing things. What is Brahman? Brahma, Brahma, all these. But over here is specifically asking what is Brahma. So ahead he's saying that आदि यज्ञ कथम को अत्र देहे अस्मिन् मधुसूदना प्रायेण काले च कथम ज्ञेयो असि नित्यात्मभि. So he's saying that there is a lot of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body of Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So he's saying that Adi Yagna Katham Ko Atra. What is Adi Yagna? Oh. So, what is Adi Yagna? And then he's saying Katham Ko Atra Dehesmin Madhusudana. How does he live in the body? Right? How does he live in the body? And then he's saying that, see, if you see, it is understood that in the Vedic culture, that there is a Supreme Lord who stays inside the body. So even in the Gopi Gita, if you see, where it says that, what is that shloka? Antaratmadre Vishajalapaya Jala Rakshasa. There is one word called Antaratmadrik actually. That you are the inner seer, the Antaratma. And Antaratma means what? He's dwelling as the witness. So Arjuna is asking similarly over here that Dehesmin Madhusudana. How does this absolute truth or this Antaratma, he reside in this body? And then he's saying that Pranaya Kale Cha Katham. So he's saying that Pranaya Kale means at the time of death. Right? And Gneyasi Nitya Atma Bhi. So how can one know the absolute truth, okay, at the time of death? So if you see in the 30th shloka also, Krishna has mentioned that those people can remember me even at the time of death. And Arjuna is asking the question that how will this happen? How will I remember, or how will somebody remember you exactly at the time of death? How is it possible that I'm going to die at, say, for example, exactly 11:05? And how will I remember you exactly at 11:05? So this is what Krishna, and definitely we also have this, question in a mind that कैसे possible होगा कि मैं भगवान को at the time of death I'll remember. So whenever Arjuna is asking some question to Krishna, he will address him by, the name which glorifies Krishna. So here he is using the word Madhusudana. Okay. And why Madhusudana? Because in the previous verse, he is using Purushottama. Right? So you are the killer of the demons. So please, kill even my doubts also. And my misconceptions also. And these misconceptions are there in my heart also. So you know what? Thank you, yeah, Sucharita. Nakhalo gopika nandano bhavan akhila dehinam antaratmadrik. So many times, he's using the word Madhusudana, he's using, Purushottama, And, there is, according to that, that word which glorifies Krishna he's using, and because he's asking a question on our behalf. Okay, because I have a lack of understanding, and because I do not have that understanding which is there in my heart, then he's asking on our behalf. Arjuna is just an instrument in Krishna's hands. We should not think that Arjuna is a person who is in ignorance. He has been given the role, like, in a drama, somebody, the director, tells him, okay, you just behave that, you are so and you don't know anything. And then you just pose your questions. So in that way, Arjuna is acting as if he does not know anything and he is ignorant. So in the next shloka, he's asking again more questions, you can say. Now, if you see in these what do you say, uh, two shlokas, Arjuna is asking questions. And in the next shloka onwards, Krishna is going to answer. So this is the Supreme Lord speaking. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Param Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavod Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samjita. The Supreme Personality of God said that the indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is, okay, voice is not clear. Give me 1 minute. No, the voice.
But maybe it's for me.
Yeah, because I am on this MacBook Air, so generally it does not give so much of a problem. Maybe some other brands might be, but Mac generally does not give so much of a problem. So he's saying that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called karma or fruitive activities. And what does Srila Prabhupada say in the purport? Brahman is indestructible and eternally existing, and its constitution is not changed at any time. But beyond Brahman is Parabrahman. Brahman refers to the living entity, and Parabrahma refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The constitutional position of the living entity is different from the position he takes in the material world. So see, in the for a jiva, for the living entity, his constitutional position changes. But the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord, even when he comes to this material world, does not change. Our positions may change, but the Supreme Lord remains the Supreme Lord eternally. He doesn't, even if he has taken the role of a small child of Mother Yashoda, or even if he's on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, or even if he is there in Dwarka, he's satisfying his queens over there and making them happy, his position does not change. He was, he is, and he will always remain as the Supreme Lord. In the material consciousness, his nature is to try to lord it over the matter. Whose nature? Living entity's nature. But in the spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, his position is to serve the Supreme Lord. So what is my constitutional position in the spiritual world? In fact, what Prabhupada is trying to say is that our constitutional position, should be to serve the Supreme Lord, even in the material world and even in the spiritual world. But over here, when the living entity comes, he tries to lord it over the material nature, or he tries to lord it over the matter. When the living entity is in the material consciousness, he has to take on various bodies in the material world. In the spiritual world, the living entity has only one fixed body. This is called karma. So the more the actions that you perform for lording it over the material world, you will have to take those many bodies. Jitne desires honge, the more we desire for sense gratification and not for Krishna, then those many bodies we'll have to take. See, our desires define our next body. Whatever is my desire in this whole lifetime will be defined for my next body, right? But somebody might question that maybe 10 years ago, I had desired something, but of course, which I did not get also. But now, after coming in Krishna consciousness, I don't desire those things. So, will that desire be nullified or it will be deleted? So, the answer is yes, it will be deleted because now, at the present moment, you don't have that desire. And Krishna is always considering the present tense that at the present, what is your desire as such? Like, so maybe when I was not in Krishna consciousness, I had many desires. But if I pray to Krishna that whatever I desired before coming to Krishna consciousness, I really don't want those things at all because none of them are of my use for bringing me nearer to you, Krishna. Or none of them are not useful in the terms of that, how will I be able to serve you, Krishna? Right? So anything that is in benefit to serve the Supreme Lord or to serve Krishna, then we desire that. Okay, I desire that I want to distribute, some 10,000 books. Yes, Krishna will definitely help me because that desire is dovetailed towards Krishna. And that is for my benefit also, and to spread the Supreme Lord's mission also to claim the fallen souls back to Godhead. And it is the spiritual master's mission also. So now that desire will not entangle you in this material world or in any form of karma. Then that becomes a karma. We had seen in Ishopanishad that what is karma, a karma and vikarma, right? So this is called karma or varied creation by the force of material consciousness. In the Vedic literature, the living entity is called Jivatma, Brahman, but he is never called Parabrahman. The living entity takes different positions, sometimes emerges into the dark material nature and identifies him with matter, and sometimes he identifies him with the superior spiritual nature. This is called the Supreme Lord's marginal energy, Tatastha Shakti. According to the identification with material or spiritual natures, he receives a material or spiritual body. In the material nature, he may take a body from any of the 84 lakh species of life, but in the spiritual nature, he has only one body. In the material nature, he is manifested sometimes as a man, demigod, animal, beast, bird, etc., according to his karma. To attain material heavenly planets and enjoy their facilities, he sometimes performs yagna. But when his merit is exhausted, he returns to earth again in the form of man. This is called karma. He returns from where? From the wherever heavenly planets he's gone to, he'll come back again. Puna Mushika Bhava, again he has to. In the Chandogya Upanishad describes the Vedic sacrificial process. On the sacrificial altar, 5 kinds of offerings are made into 5 kinds of fire. The 5 kinds of fire are conceived of as the heavenly planets, clouds, the earth, man, and women. And the 5 kinds of sacrificial offerings are faith they enjoy on the moon, rain, grains, and semen. In the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes specific sacrifices to attain specific heavenly planets and consequently reaches them. So if somebody wants to go to heavenly planets, Janalok, Tapalok, Maharlok, Brahmalok, Gandharvalok, then there are specific yagnas to be performed. When the merit of a sacrifice is exhausted, the living entity descends to the earth in the form of rain. Then he takes on the form of grains, and the grains are eaten by man and transformed into semen, which impregnates a woman, and thus the living entity once again attains a human form to perform sacrifice, and so they repeat the same cycle. In this way, the living entity perpetually comes and goes on the material path. The Krishna conscious person, however, avoids such sacrifices. He takes directly to Krishna consciousness and thereby prepares himself to return to Godhead. Because going up and coming down, going up and coming down, and again, moving into the cycle, he wants to stop that cycle and wants to return to his permanent residence. Impersonal commentators on the Bhagavad Gita unreasonably assume that Brahman takes the form of Jiva in the material world, and to substantiate this, they refer to the chapter 15, 7 verse of the Bhagavad Gita. But in this verse, the Lord also speaks of the living entity as the eternal Mamay Vancha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, as an eternal fragment of myself. The fragment of God, the living entity, may fall down in the material world, but the Supreme Lord, Achyuta, never falls down. The meaning of Achyuta is only infallible. He does not fall down from his position of being the Supreme Lord. Therefore, this assumption that the Supreme Brahman assumes the form of Jiva is not acceptable. It is important to remember that in the Vedic literature, Brahman is distinguished from the Parabrahman. So primarily he's speaking about Brahman and Parabrahman in this third shloka. And then he's saying that, ahead he says that, Adibhutam Adibhutam Ksharo Bhava Pushchascha Adidaivatam Adi Yagno Aham Evatra Dehe Deha Bhritambara. So he says that, oh, best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The material manifestation is definitely changing, right? Everything changes, right? Even if you see, just in and around your area also, when you settled in your house, how that area was and how that area is now. Or even in your own house, the house that you purchased and the house that now it is, how it was, so it keeps on changing. You keep on adjusting according to your comfort level. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is Adidaiva. The universal form of the Lord, that is the Virat Roop, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am Adi Yagya, the Lord of sacrifice. So now, further, Krishna is actually giving definitions, as Adi Bhutam Akshara Bhava. The physical manifestation is actually constantly changing, and that physical manifestation, which is constantly changing, is actually Adi Bhutam. And Ksharo Bhavaha. Ksharo Bhavaha means what? That change, okay, changing, you can say. So Krishna has used the word Aksharam. Aksharam, Brahma Param in this previous verse. So then, what is Brahma? Brahma is, he said that, which is Akshara. See, Kshara means constantly changing. But Akshara means which is unchangeable. Or you can say that unchangeability is the characteristic of the spirit in general. So here when you say change, it does not refer to the inner changes. The soul's emotions may change, but Krishna's emotion may also change. But here, when you say a change or when you say changeability, it refers to the change in some intrinsic substance, material nature. We see that, of course, there is, there is growth in a living entity, and then there is deterioration also, and there is destruction also. So we know that there are 6 kind of changes, right? Which the material nature undergoes. And opposite to that, if you see, the spiritual nature does not change. It does not undergo any change, and any of these six kind of changes. So, this is what is actually referred to as Brahma, or which is Akshara, which is which does not undergo any change, and it is not destructible, which is Adi Bhutam Ksharo Bhava. Adi Bhutam is Kshara, which keeps on changing. So, Krishna is using three words over here. He says that Adi Bhuta, Adi Devam, Adi Yagna. Okay, so these are different words, and which have been used in different ways. So Adi Bhuta, he says that when he is using this Adi Bhuta, which is referring to, uh, the material nature, the physical manifestation. And then when I'm saying Adi Bhuta, which is the material nature, so what is the characteristics of the material nature? The material nature is constantly changing. And very interestingly, Krishna is using has said previously also that uh, uh, one who understands me to be Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, and Adi Yagna, that person is actually in knowledge. And he is very well situated for remembering me at the time of death. So, previously he has said that you have to understand me to be the Adi Bhutam. And now he is saying that Adi Bhuta is also Kshara, Kshara Bhavaha, right? So, sometimes you have to understand that there is oneness also, and there is, difference also. Is Achintya Beda Bed Tattva, which means that there is simultaneously one meaning, and and that there is a difference, which is there is a difference also. Difference in the sense that this is inconceivable for me to understand. So Krishna has his own uh, independence. He has his own self-existence in the spiritual world, where he has got nothing to do with the material nature, which is transcendental. But even the material nature is Krishna's energy, and in one sense, the energy and the energetic are non-different, and that is why, because the energy and the energetic are non-different, then that is why they both are interrelated. So when Krishna says that, Adi Bhutam Ksharo Bhava, so in one sense, they are one. Krishna is telling that. And then, we have to understand that this material nature is Krishna only. But what is the characteristic of that, material energy which is manifested from Krishna? That material energy has a characteristic which has a constant change, and then that is why he's saying that Adi Bhutam Kshara Bhavaha. So, Adi Devatva. So, when you say Adi, uh, he says that Purusha Cha Adi Devatva. And he says that this universal form of the Lord, the Virat Rupa of the Lord, okay, it is including whom? It is including the demigods also, like the sun and the moon also. And that is why it is called Adidevan. So, in the purport, if you see, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the Virat Rupa. He is explaining the Purushascha Adidevam. And Purusha has been used for many purposes. We can have the Purusha Avtaras, the three Purusha Avtaras, as Mahavishnu's, the Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu, Karnaraksha Vishnu. Purusha can also refer to the Virat Purusha. Purusha can also refer to even the conscious enjoyer, the person who is enjoying, the principal person who's enjoying. Who is the principal person who's enjoying? Is Krishna, who's the principal person who's enjoying. And he is, and then there is Prakriti also. Prakriti is referring to the thing that is unconscious. Then when the Purusha glances at the Prakriti, then Prakriti becomes conscious. So here actually when he's saying Purusha, it is referring to, that is he's saying the universal form. It is referring to the Virat Rupa. And if you see this universal form is like a via media tool, you can say, to for directing the thought from the nature to the Lord of nature. Okay. So when we see, this very vast and very huge, material nature, at that time we can contemplate that, oh, it is so big. The sun and the moon, they are the eyes of the Supreme Lord. And it is described, in the Bhagavatam that Kalpita. And it is very unimaginable to think that how this, material nature is so huge. And then Krishna is explaining even the Adi Daiva. So Adi Daiva again is referring to the, Purusha. So Krishna is saying that this Adi Deva is also me only. This universal form is also me only. And this Virat Purusha, if you see in the Bhagavatam, which is that chapter which says in the second canto, it says that it talks about Virat Purusha. And in there, in that second canto, that chapter is named as the first step in God realization. Prabhupada names that chapter as first step in God realization. So ultimately, even that is meant for us to move more closer to God, to understand Krishna and to love Krishna. So this is the Purusha Adi Daiva. So one is moving slowly and, progressively towards, attaining that Purusha who is the absolute truth. And then he's saying that Adi Yagna, okay, that Adi Yagna Deha Vritam Varaha. So Krishna is saying that Deha Vritam Vara. So he's saying that, see, uh, Vara, he's saying, Vara. He's saying you're the best. Like, you're the best among those who are Deha Vritam Vara. Those who have taken, or those who have accepted this body. And sorry, what is it? Deha Vritam. So among those who have accepted the body, Krishna is saying that you are the best. And Adi Yagno, Aham Evatra. So Krishna, he identifies himself directly with these three: Adi Bhutam, Adi Daivam, and Adi Yagna. And he says that one has to understand that all these three are me only. But he's also explaining that there is a difference. So Adi Bhuta refers to the material nature, which is also Krishna's energy. That means, Krishna only, right? Purushasya Adi Daivatvam. Okay. So Virat Purusha is also Krishna only, because that is the, conceptual, you can say, presentation of Krishna in the form of the huge, vast material nature where, the demigods, the sun and the moon are also there. And Adi Yagna also is Krishna only, because Krishna is saying that I am directly Adi Yagna. And why is he saying that I'm directly that aham sarva yagna bhokta? If you see even in the 15th chapter, he is sorry, even the 5th chapter, he has said that, bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram, right? And even in the 9th chapter, he'll be saying, and everywhere. So Krishna mentions that in the 9th chapter, actually, Krishna says that all the yagna that people do is actually meant to satisfy Krishna only. So I am the Lord of sacrifice. And sometimes people are thinking that, okay, Lord Indra is the Lord of sacrifice, or Shiva is the Lord of sacrifice. Uh, yes, of course, these demigods are there, but they are subordinate to the Supreme Lord of sacrifice. They are subordinate to Krishna. So Krishna is, what is that word? Subordinate का opposite क्या आता है? Superordinate. So he is the ultimate Lord of sacrifice. So that is why he's saying that Adi Yagno Aham Evatra Deha Deha Bhritam. I am situated in the body of all the living entities. And if you see, Krishna is again and again stressing this point that I am situated as the Paramatma, Parabrahman, in the body of all the living entities. And that is why here Krishna is saying that all the sacrifices are meant for him, and that is the way the living entity can move more closer to him. So let's move to the next shloka. Okay. This is a very, very important shloka. Super important shloka that he is saying over here that Antakale cha mamevam smaranam muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa madbhavam yati nasti atra samshaya. He's saying that, and whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So if you see mad bhavam, antakale cha mam evam smaranam muktva kalevaram. Antakale means at the time of death, if one remembers whom? Not his wife, not his children, not her husband, not the children, not the parents. Then whom? Mameva. मुझे याद करते हैं, remembers me alone. Certainly ever. He will definitely. Then smaranam muktva kalevaram. If somebody is remembering Krishna alone, smaranam muktva kalevaram. And he's remembering only whom? Krishna alone. Then one becomes liberated from that body. And then he's saying that Yaha prayati sa mat bhavam. So when one leaves like this, sa mat bhavam, mere bhav mein, one who remembers me, that person will attain my nature. Mere bhav ko wo प्राप्त करेगा, right? And yati nasti atri samshaya. So Krishna is giving guarantee. And many times, in the Bhagavad Gita, he is giving guarantees. And see, Krishna's guarantee will never fail. Most of course, with all due respects to Shri Narendra Modi ji, because his guarantees, like very, firm and very nice. But Krishna's guarantees above all guarantees. When he guarantees now, then that guarantee is very, cemented guarantee. So he's saying that um, something very important he's saying over here. If you see that if actually somebody wants to attain the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Nature or the Supreme Destination of Krishna, then what we have to do? We have to remember him at the time of death. So importance of the moment of this time of death is, we have discussed even in the Ishopanishad, we've discussed even in the Nectar of Instruction. And Prabhupada is also very saying that, those prayers of King Kulashekar, where Kantavarodham Vidho Smaranam Kutaste, uh, he says that actually at the time of death, Kantavarodham, कंठ में जो है क्या होगा, there will be, what is that, कंठावरोधम विधौ स्मरणम कुतस्ते प्राण प्राणायता कफवात पित्ते. So at the time of death, I'll be having cough and pitta, because cough comes up, and when it comes up, then smaranam kutaste, how will I be able to remember you? How is it possible to remember you, my Lord? And therefore he's saying that I want to die immediately. He's saying that let my mind be entangled in the tangle of your lotus feet. Like, a swan, he gets honey. That is, where does he get the honey? At the bottom of the lotus flower. And then what does he do? He puts his head inside. It goes much inside. His neck and his head, completely go inside. And it is very difficult to put your, head. And even to come out also, it is very difficult. But like that, Krishna, I want to just, मैं बोले ना मेरी मुंडी घुसाना चाहता हूँ आपके lotus feet में. Like that, I want to get entangled in you, as if I will not be able to come out only. मुझे आपके चरण कमलों में से बाहर निकलना ही नहीं है. Let me be entangled in such a way at the time of death. So one is getting so much absorbed in Krishna. So it is like, for him, it is like a material death itself. So what is death? It is like, the cease of whatever material activities we are doing. And we get so much absorbed and entangled in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord that nothing will remain for me. Ceasing material activities, when you cease material, and that is why, many times we explain that yoga means any connection with this, yoga sannyas means only that only. Sannyas means you are ceasing all your material activities, and yoga means you're connecting with the Supreme Lord, is yoga sanya. And then he's saying that yaha prayati samadbhavam. So if one can do like this, he can be absorbed in the remembrance of Krishna. And if one is remembering Krishna, then at the time of death, then Krishna says that this person will come back to me. There is no doubt. Atra samshaya. There is no doubt. And if you see that we don't see something often, we are likely to have doubts. अरे ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि मैं जाऊंगा? So all we want is, some praman or evidence. So, what is the result? What is the guarantee that, I will go back home, back to Godhead, and this will happen? So Krishna over here is reassuring us that there is not even an iota of doubt in this. See, in the last chapter of the 18th chapter, where he says that Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharan Vraja Aham Tam Sarva Papabhya Mokshayishami Ma Sucha. Do not fear. Bindas, you give up everything, you come to me. I will protect you. So, Krishna is actually over here to help us. Krishna is not here to engage us. Krishna is not here to even fail us also. He's such a loving God that Krishna is in our heart too. He's helping us, every moment he's helping us gaining success. The moment we think about him, he's helping us. The moment we think that tomorrow I want to chant 64 rounds, he's helping us. The moment we think tomorrow I want to chant 128 rounds, it's Ekadashi, I want to chant, he's helping us. And so if we are thinking of him at the time of death, then we actually have developed love for him. And at the moment of, at the time of that death, at the moment of death, it's so traumatic that um, it is possible for us to think about so many things except the thing that we love the most, and which we have got from Krishna. From Krishna, what have we got? We've got the greatest shelter. हमें उनका आश्रय मिला हुआ है. So when we got that shelter at that time, so if we have taken the shelter of Krishna deeply before death, then we will take to shelter of Krishna at the time of death. That is why he's saying, आप absorb हो जाओ, you get tangled in the lotus feet. आप अपनी मुंडी उधर ही घुसा के रखो, बाहर निकालने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. So if we have done all our life that, right? So at the time of death, then naturally Krishna wants us to take us back home, back to Godhead. Krishna is eager for us to come back, and he is showing his eagerness. Krishna is saying, I am thinking of you. I want you to come back home. Then Krishna will take us, when we are thinking, then Krishna will take us back home, back to Godhead. And Krishna is saying that of this, then there is no doubt that Krishna wants us to, uh, uh, take us back home, back to Godhead. And Krishna simply wants to see whether we wanted to go back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes people say, अभी बहुत देर है, अभी क्या है, लेंगे 2-3 जन्म और फिर जाएंगे. But Krishna over there is so eager, standing at the doors of Goloka. He's crying torrents of tears that when will this child of mine come back to me? Just as a mother's child is lost, the mother is moaning and crying. She's waiting every day at the doorstep that when will this child come back to me? When will I actually, be in union with my child back again? So for every living entity who is, fallen in this material world, imagine Krishna's, plight over there, that he is crying on the doors of Goloka on a daily basis. Every day, he is crying over there. In fact, not even every day, every moment Krishna is crying over there. So imagine that what is my speed of going towards Krishna, and what is Krishna's eagerness to bring me back home, back to Godhead. So if we show that we wanted to go back, then definitely he will take us back. But हमारा ही प्रयास जो है, we are failing in our endeavors. And what is that endeavor? The endeavor that is saying that you immerse yourself in the lotus feet of Krishna, you give up all the material, activities, and you please immerse yourself onto my lotus feet. And that's how, and see, if you see, that is why he's using the word smaranam. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Fir Smaranam Muktva. So it is not Kirtanam Muktva. If someone kept a gun on the head and says that, I've enjoyed enough now, I will just say Krishna and, I will shoot and I will go back home. No, we can't cheat Krishna that way, because actually it is Smaranam. If we say that Krishna, we may not be able to remember Krishna. If we have not developed only attachment to Krishna, then how will we be able to remember Krishna at the time of death? There's no attachment. Like the mother has an attachment towards the child, and that is why every moment when the child is separated from the mother is remembering, because of that strong attachment towards the child, right? Similarly, that same attachment we need for Krishna. सेम अटैचमेंट, जो अटैचमेंट हमारे पास हमारे बच्चों के लिए है, वही अटैचमेंट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कृष्णा. So many times even Prabhupada, quoted this full Hare Krishna. And mostly this is one place where Prabhupada has quoted Hare Krishna twice. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has said that by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we can remember, the Supreme Lord. And throughout our life, we'll be remembering Krishna. And then we will be remembering Krishna at the time of death also. So, um, that's how, you remember Krishna at the time of death. But it requires a lifetime of practice, and then you remember Krishna at the time of death. I'm sure there is a couple of questions regarding this, but I will surely attend those after the class. But we'll move on to the 6th shloka. So he says that, give me 1 minute, I'm just referring to my. So see what he's saying that. So just by remembering Krishna, one attains Krishna. By remembering something else, one attains that particular object. So what is he saying that? Yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam tajeti ante kalevaram tam tamevati kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. So he's saying that whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So he's saying that yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam. So whatever bhava we remember at the time of death, tajeti anti kalevra, at the time, that time we are giving up that body. Tajeti, हम जब त्याग रहे, त्यागना, the word tyajati comes from the word tyag. We are giving up, right? So, tam tam evati kaunteya, that only body that person will attain. Sada tad bhava bhavitah. So this word bhava, even in the previous verse it has come. And the 5th, that mad bhavam, is remembering. They're saying that ya prayati sa mad bhavam. So Krishna says that they will attain my nature, those who remember me at the time of death. So Krishna is saying, this is best, you can say, the क्या बोल सकते हैं इसको? This is the supermost application of this principle. And what is the principle? Principle of remembering Krishna, smaranam. Okay. So, and the principle is that whatever we remember, we will attain that at the time of death. So whatever bhav we have, that ultimately we will attain. So yam yam vapi smaranam. So, if you see in this case of 5th canto, Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj remembered the deer. So he got the body of the deer. Tam tam evati kaunteya, that he will attain. So he remembered the deer. So the next lifetime he got the body of the deer. So sada tad bhava bhavita. Tad bhava bhavita means what? Krishna is telling that which is bhavita, which is remembering, eventually becoming so subtle. So from the gross to the subtle. And even in the Bhagavatam, it is said that by looking at the state of the subtle body, one can understand what one's past was, what one's future is going to be, and which means that if I look at the subtle body and Subtle body means what? False ego, mind and intelligence. That's my subtle body. And gross body is earth, water, air, fire, and ether. So if I look at the subtle body and I'm finding that, okay, I'm having a lot of lusty desires or thoughts over there, this means that in my past, I must have engaged in a lot of lust. And that is why I have that kind of thoughts right now. And if this is the kind of thought I will uh, I will be continuing with, then I will get another body where I will be able to fulfill those lusty desires. So of course, the lusty thoughts may be there, but the point is that uh, am I encouraging those lusty thoughts? Am I stimulating those thoughts by further imagining those things? And what is my response to those thoughts? That is important. So, the subtle body is the template for the gross body, you know. So, whatever the state of, my subtle body will be, accordingly, my gross body also will get, or I'll get a gross body accordingly. So that is why we say tad bhava bhavitam. And so Krishna is giving this general principle that, uh, you know, in these two verses, they say that what in many classes I've heard that it is the law of last thought that uh, law of gravity is there, law of motions are there, but this is the law of the last thought that will I have at the time of death. And so these, if you see laws of gravity or laws of motion, or laws of electromagnetism, these are actually laws at a very grosser level. But when we are talking about that law, which is at an subtle level or an intellectual level, and the gross realms, then this principle, the law of the last thought, is at a subtle level, because at a subtle level, the soul is also involved. Why? The soul is transmigrating, the soul is getting a gross body. So it involves all three. And the law of last thought is whatever we think about at the time of death, that we will attain. So, if you see over here, Prabhupada is, again and again quoting this Mahamantra. The best process for successfully changing one state of being at the time of one's end. So, many times, if you see that whatever I have been practicing, the example generally, devotees give is that, for example, there is a student of grade 10, and for the whole year he hasn't studied at all. Will he be able to go ahead and give his final examinations successfully? Will he be able to remember? No, he won't be able to remember anything, because he hasn't practiced only throughout the year, or he hasn't attended classes at all. He hasn't gone to school at all. He was sitting and watching movies and, doing all sorts of other activities other than studying and remembering his answers. So you can say that death is an examination, and a lifetime is the preparation for that death. And it's not only for, I'm talking for myself also, because uh, remembering Krishna is so very important on a daily basis, practicing serving the Supreme Lord. And we have to remember Krishna at the time of death. Now, somebody may say that, how will I remember Krishna at the time of death? So, uh, for that, we have to remember him throughout our life. And it is a practice. If you see, consistency is the key. So one day you chant, you won't get you won't be able to see it as a result. 2 days you chant, 3 days, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you won't be able to see those results. But if you're consistently chanting on a daily basis, at the time of death, what was in will come out. अंदर हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र है तो बाहर भी हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र है. यहाँ से सुना है, यहाँ से सुना है तो यहाँ से निकलेगा. यहाँ से सुना ही नहीं है तो यहाँ से क्या निकलेगा? Because when we hear, it sinks into our heart, right? And then when we hear, when it sinks into, then it comes out. So in the next shloka, he says that since the previous thoughts are the cause of the thought of at the time of death, then one should abhyas karna hai. You know, he has to study, remembering Krishna throughout his life while doing his duties. Then remembering Krishna at the time of death will be possible. So in the next shloka, he's saying that how to remember Krishna. So he's saying that तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु माम् अनुस्मर युद्ध च मयि अर्पित मनोर्बुद्धि माम् मामे वैश्यस्य संशय. So he's saying that therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. Because what is Arjuna's duty is a Kshatriya and he has to fight. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. So karma arpita karo Krishna ko और मन और बुद्धि को भगवान के श्री चरणों में लगाओ. Mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So when I'm fixing my mind and intelligence on the lotus feet of Krishna, I'll be able to attain Krishna without any doubt. So he's saying that Tasmad sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, at the time of death. And they say, Mam anusmara yuddha cha. Remembering me, you fight. So now, if you see that there is a little progression, uh, uh, and there is the deepening of the devotion, in the Bhagavad Gita. So if you see in the third chapter, Krishna is saying here that you do your work and you offer the fruits to me. So that when you offering, offering comes when you do the work. So when you do the work, then you offer that to me. But now here he is saying that first you think of me, okay, and then you do your work. So it is not just like a post of action offering, but it is a pre-action meditation. Like for example, I want to cook something. So what I will say is that I am cooking for the pleasure of Krishna. So first what I'm thinking about Krishna. That first of all, you think of me. First of all, I'm thinking of Krishna. Then I'm doing the act of cooking. And it's like a pre-meditation. So now, whenever I'm cooking, my complete chetana is that will Krishna like this? What will Krishna like? Will he like more spicy food or a less spicy food or a medium spicy food? Okay, is he a low salt eater or more? Of course, Krishna is seeing the love in that, whatever I'm preparing, but caring to the details while I'm cooking. Okay, okay, does he like more, clarified butter in this? Or should I use little less butter in this? Because some things, when you use a good amount of butter, sorry, ghee, that is it, clarified butter, then that thing comes out to be very nice. For example, हलवे में अगर घी कम होगा ना, वो हलवा टेस्ट में अच्छा होगा ही नहीं. And halwa requires a good amount. Like for example, 1 katori of suji, which means 1.5 katori of actually ghee you put in. Then that, and then lots of, dil khol ke dry fruits sab dalo. Then that halwa, is like, very tasty. And that will give pleasure to the senses of, Krishna. Sorry, it's Ekadashi and Parna time, and Parna, I have not done the Parna as yet. But so he's saying that, uh, uh, do your work, and you offer that work to me. Means what? First you think of me, then you do your work. So uh, when you say a pre-action connection, Mam Anusmara Yuddhacha. So, why do we remember Krishna? Not because he is the fruit of the offering. No, we don't remember Krishna for that reason. Because we remember Krishna because he is the Lord of my heart. वो मेरा सर्वस्व है. He is all in all. He's everything for me that I do. And because वो मेरा सर्वस्व है, and that is why I'm doing everything for him. And that is why even if I'm fighting, I'm, shooting arrows in the battlefield, I'm doing yuddha. And for me, actually, if you see, actually, if you compare, no, Yuddha Maidan or the battlefield, for us also every day is the battlefield only, right? Every day morning we battle firstly with our mind, then with everything. For us, the mind is the biggest battle for us. Waking up early in the morning, chanting our rounds, the biggest battle for us. So now, when it is the biggest battle for us, then what do you say? Then what do? One night before, you are actually planning कि पहले आप भगवान के लिए रिमेम्बर करते tomorrow morning I have to get up early and I have to chant and I have to do this. So what I am doing first, I'm thinking before doing that act, I'm thinking of Krishna, that मुझे ये कार्य किसके लिए करना है, मुझे कृष्ण की प्रसन्नता के लिए करना है. I want to do it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Then the next day morning when I'm chanting, I'm chanting that, oh, this activity is the most pleasing activity for Krishna. He loves to hear his names. जैसे मान लो, for example, somebody will call out, your name. Okay. If somebody will call out Nivedita, we feel so nice. If somebody will call out, Priyanka, we feel so nice. If somebody will call out Shubhangi, Sucharita, Sushil Prabhu, Brinda, Brajrani, Mahendra Prabhu or Atima or Partha Sarthi Govind Prabhu, we feel so nice. Or Rajamallu Prabhu, right? We feel so nice when our names are being called out. So similarly, even with Krishna, when we call out Krishna's names, he's happily dancing that somebody is remembering me. And he's so happy that, yes, this child is remembering me. And then there are more chances are that he might very soon come back home, back to Godhead, because he's remembering my name. And that is why out of that happiness, Krishna is dancing on the tip of my tongue when I am chanting in the mornings. He is jubilant. Only, physically we are not able to see when, we are chanting that Krishna is dancing on the tip of my tongue. And the moment, my mind becomes diverted, Krishna stops dancing. अरे किसी और को याद किया है. But the moment you come again back, focusly chanting, then again he is dancing. So, I am remembering Krishna not because he's the fruit of the offering, but because he's the Lord of my heart. He is my everything. And uh, for Arjuna, the prescribed duty is fighting. But, different people's prescribed duty will be different, whatever, they have, And then he's saying that, Mam Anusmara Yuddhacha. So in this way, when we offer ourselves entirely to Krishna, before the act, during the act, and after the act also we offer the fruits to Krishna. 3 phases may, then, uh, you know, uh, we offer ourselves entirely to Krishna. We also do a prescribed duty. And then naturally our prescribed duty, we direct it to Krishna. And that's how we are remembering Krishna all the time. Mai arpita mano buddhi. आपका मन और बुद्धि क्या करो, मुझे अर्पित करो. So Krishna is saying that if you remember me, what will happen? Not only your work is offered to me, but also your subtle body, the mind and the intelligence is becoming offered to me. Mai arpita manor buddhi. Gross body offering to Krishna. Subtle body also I am offering to Krishna. So just give me 1 minute. There is a call come and I want to cut that call. So the mind and the intelligence also will be offered to Krishna. And when we do this all our life, then we are actually living to develop that love for Krishna. And we are living for Krishna, then naturally we will have the opportunity um, for the pleasure and that focus on Krishna. We will have completely focus on Krishna day in and day out, minute to minute. I'm thinking about Krishna and his welfare and the welfare of the others. See, remembering Krishna is very subtle thing. Like, okay, for example, I'm planning that today I'm going to go and cook in the kitchen, in the Lord's kitchen. So what will I cook and how will I cook and what all will I add? There is a planning going on. Or if I'm going out for book distribution, okay, plan which area will I go in, okay, and then what is the stock that I will be taking, and then how many people are going to come, where will I, place, different devotees at different places as such, and what will be my, props for doing book distribution. Will I have a standee? Will I have a banner? Will I have some, bookmarks carried? Will I have some, bags? Somebody does not have a carry bag. Will I be able to give that carry bag? All these, details जिसको बोलते हैं, these all I will be able to do it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So एक act है जो हम कर रहे हैं, and every action I'll be planning throughout that how will I be able to please Krishna by even, detailed, actions also, caring for the details also. I will. So, Srila Prabhupada is also actually, if you see, explaining the purport that this instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. The Lord is not saying over here that aap apna kaam dhanda chodo, you leave your business, you leave your jobs, you leave your duty as a mother, as a father. No. One can continue them at the same time thinking of Krishna by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And I'm going to the office, right? And I'm traveling. Maybe I'm traveling half an hour, 45 minutes, or 1 hour. In that time, I can chant extra rounds. And when I'm chanting extra rounds, right, the whole day Krishna is at the back. So even if I am moving out of the house, I'm taking one step out of my house, I'm saying that Krishna, today, whatever actions I'm going to do is for your pleasure. Before the action, you remember Krishna. While doing that action in the office, also, I'm remembering Krishna. Right. Okay, whatever salary I'll get, I'll give it a part to the temple as a donation or whatever it is. I'm offering the fruits also to Krishna. So action ke time pe bhi I'm remembering Krishna. And after the action also, I'm giving some part of my salary as a donation to Krishna. And that's how before, during, and after, I am always remembering Krishna. And if you see, we can remember Krishna, and that is why to remember Krishna, our sadhana has to be very, very, important. And if we do not do our sadhana all day, then we just do our work. Morning sadhana very important. Chanting in the morning, 16 rounds, very, very important. And if I'm not chanting in the morning, okay, then I'm just doing work which will entangle me in the cycle of birth and death, right? So we'll be just doing some material activities. And it's not like that, oh, suddenly I will think of Krishna, right? No, actually, we have to give some exclusive time for Krishna, some separate time for Krishna, for that quality connection with Krishna. And then when Krishna is in our foreground of consciousness, जब बार बार he's in the foreground of my consciousness, then at that time, through our prayers, through our meditation, through our study of the Shastras, deity worship, or association with the devotees, or going for yatras, going to the temple, Krishna is in the foreground of our consciousness. Then, while we are doing some worldly activities, maybe these worldly activities may seem that they are in the foreground. मुझे लग रहा है कि अच्छा मैं सिर्फ कमाने के लिए ही कार्य कर रहा हूँ, but Krishna will be there in the background. यहाँ पे he will always be there. But if all times we are doing only worldly activities, and worldly activities are in the foreground, then Krishna will not be there even in the background. So for Krishna to be there in the foreground and the background, every time we have to remember Krishna. All the time, he will just be, you can say, out of the ground only. You can say that there'll be not much use for us. So if you want to remember Krishna constantly, at least for some time, we remember Krishna. Primarily, if not exclusively, by that particular activity or practice, we'll be able to remember Krishna constantly, and then Krishna is reassuring us. And what is Krishna reassuring us? That asamshaya of this, there is no doubt. आप बिल्कुल शक मत करना कि अगर आप मेरा स्मरणम कर रहे हो, आप मेरे पास नहीं आओगे. Now, Krishna की जो guarantee है ना, it is very, firm guarantee. And he's saying of this asamshay, don't ever doubt. Definitely, if you're remembering me, you will come to me. And so, in these two verses, Krishna assures here with one verse that you will come back to me. So, then that is it. Krishna is reassuring us. He's giving that guarantee that if you will do this, you will come back to me. That is what Srila Prabhupada is also telling us, that if you follow this process of Krishna consciousness, and, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then definitely, and Prabhupada is saying that lifelong if you practice, we might have many disqualifications, and I might have many, conditionings also, but, it does not matter. One day, if I am very sincere, and if I am really genuinely before my act, during my act, and after my act, and in the foreground, if Krishna is there, then in background also Krishna is there, definitely I will return back to Krishna by faithfully adhering to this process which has been given to us by the Supreme Lord and by Srila Prabhupada. That's how I will reach. So, he's saying that in the next shloka, I'll say that how will somebody attain me by remembering me? अभी तो बोल रहे अच्छा remember me. भाई लेकिन remember कैसे करना है मुझे? So now Krishna is guiding us. He's saying that अभ्यास योग युक्तेन चेतसा अन्यगामिना परम पुरुषम दिव्यम yati prarthanu chintayan. So he's saying that one who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. See, such a loving God Krishna is that he has to come down and he has to teach us. The loving mother is coming and teaching us. See, because I actually see Krishna more like a, for me, like I can say that I'm seeing him more in a motherly figure rather than a fatherly figure, because only the mother is so compassionate to the child. And only the mother is coming and teaching us again and again that what will you do to come back to me? What will you do to come back to me? So he's saying over here that um, how will you remember me? And uh, because see, we have to end our forgetfulness, right? हम भूल चुके हैं भगवान को, है ना? So now he's saying that abhyas yoga yuktena, by engaging in the practice of yoga. Now all these three words, abhyas, yoga, yuktena, they are all non-specific abhyasas. They can be in bhakti yoga also, they can be in ashtanga yoga also, they can be in jnana yoga also, because all these yogas require practice. It's not like that if I don't practice ashtanga yoga, I will attain the Paramatma. No. Abhyas can be in various parts also. Like for example, every day I have to practice. If I want to be a lawyer, if I want to be a doctor, if I want to be an engineer, every day I have to practice. So he's saying that abhyas can be in various parts. Then what is the differentiation? He's saying that chetasa anya na anya gamina. The essential point of this abhyas is that let the chetasa, what is chetasa? चेतना, मेरा मन और मेरी बुद्धि, मेरी चेतना जो है, मेरा कॉन्शियसनेस जो है, बी बी न अन्य गामिना. न अन्य मीन्स लेट इट नॉट गो एनीवेयर एल्स. इधर उधर मत जाने दो, कहीं पे भी मत जाने दो. तो फिर कहाँ जाने दो? फिर परम पुरुषम दिव्यम. So if one can do this, then Param Purusham Divyan, one will attain the Supreme Lord. And this Supreme Lord, who is this Supreme Lord? He is Divyam. He is, who is a divine transcendental. And then he's saying, Yati Partha Anuchintyan. So he's saying that, O Partha, क्या बोल रहे हैं? O Partha, then one will attain that and one will achieve me because of Anuchintayan. Anuchintayan means he's constantly thinking of him, because he's steadily thinking. Uska contemplation jo hai, he's contemplating continuously on me only. And see, Anuchintayan is actually, you can say that it is steady contemplation. And Krishna is reassuring that by contemplation on him, by the contemplation on the Krishna, one will attain him by keeping that consciousness focused or concentrated on him only. And that is why he's saying that if you see what is the very nice striking feature of the shloka is, he is referring to himself only, but he is referring to himself as the third person. है ना? So why is Krishna referring to himself as the third person? क्यों बोल रहे कि wo purush, param purusham. See, that is why these impersonalists and all these Mayavadis and these Brahmavadis and all now, they get confused with such shlokas. They say that no, we don't have to submit to Krishna, but we have to submit to the person who is inside Krishna, the one who is inborn. So बहुत confusion हो जाता है with these impersonalists, and that is why they themselves get really very confused. So why Krishna is doing this? That there are different places where Krishna does this in the Bhagavad Gita also, and we have to see that what is the context, what we and understand that when Krishna is describing a particular path, he describes it from the perspective of the one who is saying or seeking very different several occasions. So when he is describing this path of Ashtanga Yogi, so from the path of this Ashtanga Yogi path seeker, at the time of that Ashtanga Yogi, he does not know that Krishna is the absolute. And the Ashtanga Yogi, he is meditating on mm, mm, he's meditating and he's and is turning inwards from this pratyahara. Pratyahara means actually you disconnect from the this external world, and then he's trying to discover something that is the inner reality at that point of time. So then that yogi may discover something which is inner reality and all that. But over here he's saying that by introspection, by our own thoughts and by our meditation, we will do a systematic contemplation, and then we can understand that, see, I am not this body, I am the soul. And then I can understand that, okay, there is Krishna. And then one may be able to understand that he is only the ultimate truth, and this ultimate truth is a person. But that ultimate truth, he has a form also. That form is a bluish black complexion. He is a coward boy and who's wearing a peacock feather, and he's playing the flute, and he's standing in the threefold bending form. And see, all this now, if we just introspect, we cannot understand. Or if we just meditate, that it has to come through our own understanding that yes, God exists, Krishna exists, and we can even understand that yes, Krishna is a person, and we'll understand that person, and that person but that person currently I'm not able to understand. How will I be able to understand Krishna when he will shower his mercy on me, and जब उनकी मर्जी होगी तब वो मुझे रिवील करेंगे अपने आप को, राइट? So that identity of Krishna, it requires some revelation. That from from the realization to revelation, it's like a journey which we travel. And when Krishna is talking here from the point of view of that seeker who does not know who the absolute truth is, then he may talk as a third person. So he focuses on talking about param purusham, or divyam. And that is why see previous shlokas also is saying that you remember me, and you fix your mind on me, and he will come back to me, all these third person conversations that he is doing. So this conversation that he is doing is specifically for the devotees who know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when Krishna is saying this in this verse, from the flow that of the Bhagavad Gita is going on, he is making it very clear that Param Purusham person is he himself, and you have to meditate on him only. And because the Ashtanga yogis, they do not know that Krishna is the absolute. So that is why the Ashtanga yogi is focusing path on Param Purusham and attaining that Param Purusham. So Prabhupada is saying that this devotee, what is he doing? He is constantly thinking. The devotee constantly thinks of Krishna as the object. In different features, he might be by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then, if we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we will think that we'll think of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So somebody might think that how can by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we can think about the other form of the Lord, right? Just give me 1 minute. So, sorry for that. How can by chanting Hare Krishna, we can think about the other form of the Lord, like Narayana or Ram. So actually, we have to understand that there is a universal and a very confidential aspect of bhakti. The universal aspect of bhakti is that purification that it is bringing, and it is helping me to become free from my material attachments, from my material desires, and from my material identity also. With this, मेरी material identity क्या है? That I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am a wife, I am a teacher, I am an engineer or a doctor. That is my material identity. Now it will help me to become free from these identities, and that is something which is, universal for everybody. So, if you see, there is a negative side and then there is a positive side also, which involves material desires or material relationships or material activities. From there, one has to come to the 0 point, and then we can go to the positive side also, from the negative side to the positive side. Abhi mere paas bahut sare negatives hai, but slowly from the negative side I can go to the positive side. And the universal aspect is everyone has to go through this journey. Everyone has to become free from this material conception and all these material fascinations which everybody has. And once he has done that, then when I am on the positive side, then whatever difficulties I have, then I will not be what do you say, deviated, or I will not drift away from that path. And um, I can go to the Vaikuntha planets. Either I can go to Ayodhya, I can go to Goloka, or I can go to Mathura Loka or Dwarka Loka. And, some can go to the Vrindavan Loka. So, now, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, if my original Swarupa is different, still I can become purified and I can move onwards. Sometimes devotees think that, I'm attached with Lord Ram. So more should I chant the Hare Krishna? Maybe I shouldn't, with Lord Ram. So I'm attached to Lord Ram, but I shouldn't join ISKCON because I'm attached. Because the ISKCON people are only singing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I should find out some other institution which is teaching, Ram Bhakti. So we should actually understand that we shouldn't prematurely imagine what is my Swarupa in the spiritual world. Like, see, my mother is from right from her childhood a Rama Bhakta. But when we came into ISKCON, we started chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and we realized eventually that what is the meaning of Krishna and what is the meaning of Ram and how these, personalities are interlinked and how, the goal is only one, right? As such. So, uh, uh, we shouldn't prematurely imagine that mera swarup kya hai spiritual world mein. No, first of all, we have to give up our attachment to this outer form that is there, the Pararupa. Swarupa means the original form. But जब पर रूप मतलब क्या, ये पराया रूप जो मैंने धारण किया हुआ है ना, एक पराया रूप है ना, मैंने एक आर्टिफिशियल रूप धारण किया हुआ है. दिस इज नॉट माय ओरिजिनल रूपा. माय ओरिजिनल रूपा इज आई एम द सर्वेंट ऑफ कृष्णा. आई एम मेंट, मुझे बनाया गया ही है कृष्ण की सेवा करने के लिए. I have been created only to serve the Supreme Lord. I have not been created to serve my own senses. In that whole existence, मेरे अपने बारे में कुछ भी कोई मायने नहीं रखता है. It does not really matter, right? So, we have got this material body and we identify with that very strongly. So right now we have to actually give up that we have to give up that material identification with this material form that is there. And see, we may have attraction for Lord Ram. We may have attraction for Lord Narshing Dev also. And if we are brought up in, that is like, for example, in South Indian culture, they are brought up, with this culture of Lord Narshing Dev. Because most of the South Indians, the Kulu Devata is actually Lord Narshing Dev. So if you're brought up in that culture, we will have attraction to some specific form where we may have heard Narsingha Stotra or Lord Ram's bhajans, and because of that, we may be attracted towards that form, towards that form of the Lord right from our childhood. So our attraction may be more cultural than actually spiritual. So cultural means because, I'm born and brought up in this particular, South Indian culture or a North Indian culture. North में Lord Ram का ज्यादा है, South में Lord Narshing Dev और बालाजी का ज्यादा है. So, so it may not be, spiritual because it may not be at the level of the soul. Soul is attracted to Krishna. So we are very fortunate that we are born in a place where we are hearing these bhajans about Lord Ram, and we are not hearing any other Hollywood and Bollywood and any other, foreign songs that are there, and we are attracted to, Lord Ram, Lord Narshing Dev, Lord Krishna. It is very good, and we can utilize to increase that contemplation about Lord, and then we will become very purified. Gradually, when we again and again contemplating, we are uttering the names of the Lord, we are contemplating, and then we go beyond our negative thoughts and negative, axis, and we are moving positively. Then eventually our attraction for a specific form we are in, and our eternal Swarupa, we will be able to become attracted to that particular form of the Lord according to our eternal Swarupa. So there may be a devotee who is practicing Krishna consciousness inside ISKCON, but he's having a greater attraction towards Lord Ram. And then the person may decide to hear more of Lord Ram's pastimes. He will focus more on Lord Ram worship, going to Ayodhya, going to Ujjain, going to Rameshwaram and all these places. So if one feels like that, and one naturally does that, and there is nothing wrong in that, but we shouldn't mistake cultural to be spiritual. So at our level, we should focus only on chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and this process of Krishna consciousness, which is given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and uh, uh, and uh, uh, even if our Swarupa is in Ayodhya, but right now we are in Kali Yuga. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is Namo Mahavadanyaya. He is the Mahavadanyaya of this Yuga avatar, of this Kali Yuga, you can say. And the Tarak Brahman Nam, the Tarak Brahman Nam means what? The holy name which will liberate us in this Kali Yuga is what? The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that is why we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and eventually we will go to that level where we will become purified. Everything material and naturally, our spiritual lives will start from there. We'll get activated from there, that point, and eventually, when we become purified with all that material designations that we are carrying or the material conceptions, then there will be a very specific spiritual attraction to that particular form of the Lord, whom we are related to in our original Swarupa. And that will eventually become manifest. It's not like that, okay, 5 days I chant and I'll get my Swarupa. No. That is why he's saying that um, um, uh, Param Purusham Divyam Yati. He's saying that you will attain that Param Purusha by Abhyas Yoga Yuktena. Daily practice करने से, like see, अब देखना, whatever you practice daily, now you become expert in that, right? For example, somebody is practicing gymming. So everybody is practicing gymming every day. So first he will pick up 2 kgs and then 5 kgs, and eventually he can pick up 50 kgs also as such. So for us also, our spiritual strength also increases by daily practicing. Daily, whatever you practice, you are consistent in that, you become a master in that, right? And that is why Krishna is suggesting over here that you practice. And now, very interestingly, Krishna is going to, from the 9th shloka onwards, he is going to say that what are the different ways of remembering him, right? What are the different ways of remembering him? So then next we will see next Saturday that what are the different ways. I rest my speech over here. If somebody has any doubts, queries, questions and clarifications, you all can ask me. His Grace Sarthi Govind Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, this we are talking about 8.6, referring to 8.6 shloka. Whatever in the state of mind, body will be there. We will get the gross body and all. Suppose I am having a envious thoughts related in the current situation, like in the current material body, I have envious thoughts with others and have lusty desires and all. Whether this might be carried from the previous through previous body, or it will be, and also I want to know whether it can be carried forward like in another body. If we, how to stop this kind of thoughts and all.
Yeah, Prabhuji, very nice and a practical question you are asking that. For example, currently his question is, currently I have envy for somebody. So is this envy carried, carried forward from my past birth? And now will this be carried forward in the next birth also? And if that is the case, then how will I stop it at this birth only? Right, Prabhuji? This is the question you're asking. Okay, I don't want envy. So the very fact that you're asking this question, that, maybe you have envy, but I feel that you don't have any envy, Prabhuji, because you're asking this question is only actually a very humble question from your end, that definitely you don't have any envy. But in case if somebody has envy from the past birth, then when we are chanting, we pray to the Lord that Krishna, ultimately everybody is connected to you, and ultimately they all are your children, and I am getting something because of my own past karmas, and I should be happy in whatever I'm getting. And if Krishna is giving somebody something, which means that is Krishna's desire, and I should not interfere in Krishna's desire with that living entity. अभी भगवान की मर्जी है ना, उसको बंगला दे, गाड़ी दे, whatever, he wants to give. So, I should not envy that person. In fact, I should thank Krishna that, okay, you have given me much more than what actually I deserve. You have given me a lot more than what actually I deserve. I don't even deserve what you've given me right now. But it is your mercy that you have given me this much so that I can survive and I can sustain. But yes, Krishna, at the same time, please help me to become non-envious. And because in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter only, Krishna is seeking that, quality of non-enviousness. So I should not envy, because whatever I'm getting because of my own, deeds and own karmas. Whatever that person is getting from Krishna, because who is the supplier? Krishna is the supplier. He is getting it because of his own past karmas, and Krishna is supplying that. So if I am envying that person, I'm envying Krishna. That's why Krishna is supplying that to him and not to me. So that is why I pray to Krishna every day that please make me non-envious. Please, I don't want to envy anybody. And in the past, in case if I have envied somebody, please forgive me for that envy. देखो हम लोग past में बहुत सारे mistakes करते हैं. And the mother forgives, right? So we pray to Krishna that Krishna, please forgive me. Please delete all those desires and all that envious that I had, and make my mind and my intelligence more clearer. उसको साफ कर दो, एक delete button दबा दो आप. And I don't want to envy anybody. I just want to serve you, and by serving you, I want to selflessly serve you and come back to you. And that is what prayers are for. And the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a daily 2-hour repentance of our past mistakes that we do. Daily I'm repenting. Only if I could really have, taken up to Krishna consciousness, I wouldn't be in this situation. I would be, situated in the spiritual world serving Krishna. But since I have made a mistake, I should be repenting for that mistake. And I still have a chance given by Krishna. I still have this golden opportunity given to me by the Vaishnavas, by my spiritual master, by the Supreme Lord, that again I'm in the association of devotees, and let me rectify that mistake. Rectifying means you repent on a daily basis. You repent that ये मैंने बहुत गलत किया है, मैंने कृष्णा से अलग होकर मैंने बहुत बड़ी गलती कर दी है. I've done the biggest mistake by being separated from Krishna. We rectify a mistake by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and that's how all our anarthas will eventually fall away. धीरे धीरे in the humble mood, जब हम हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र करते हैं, when we chant हरे कृष्ण mantra, ego, envy, pride, anger, everything will fall apart when we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Prabhuji. Fine. Does that, answer your question, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else has any question or doubt or query? Okay, if nobody has, then we'll meet on next Saturday. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.